Hello, welcome.
What was that?
We're live. I was just trying to
I,
be like,
I
hello,
felt you were like, welcome.
hello, welcome to
Hi.
the welcome to the podcast. I'm your host Aaron, joined by Thomas.
Are we doing sexy talk now?
Well, we are talking about Riverdale, and there are some moments where they get a little more. Well, they shouldn't be. I always forget they're in high school. They're
Yeah,
handling all
I have those
the
moments.
problems, and then they're like, "Oh, we have to study for the SATs." I'm like, "Oh, you are in high school. That's right."
Yeah, they throw in these random high school things to remind us that they're in high school,
Mhm.
like the school play and stuff like that. But all right, roll the credits and we'll jump right into it.
Da, 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 da.
We need to take amazing pictures this weekend because I need a new picture for season 2.
I my hair changes so much. I couldn't keep up with my photo.
Well, hi everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps.
Hello.
If you didn't catch on to what we were babbling about earlier, we are talking about Riverdale season 2.
Mhm.
Um, I binged this very quickly, 2 days.
Faster. You did it faster than me, but you had to catch up. So,
Yeah, I
'cause
mean, I had originally canceled this podcast, and then when I realized how quickly I was watching it, I was like, we could do it.
I season two sucks you in. That's why when you're like, "Have you watched Knox Landing?" No, I'm sucked into Riverdale. I can't get out.
You're like,
And
no, because I'm right in the middle of joining a biker gang right now.
I've never wanted to join one more than I do after watching Riverdale. But I know that's not how it's like.
um, yeah, so Thanksgiving, my family didn't show up till 4:30, and I was up. I get up early. I was up like 7 or 8. So I had the whole day to watch it. I watched like maybe 8 episodes before anybody even showed up. And they left fairly early, so I squeezed in like 2 or 3 more before bed that night.
Damn, that's
And then
big
the
watching.
day after Thanksgiving, I just finished it.
Okay, not bad,
And I
not
was like, so do you still want to do it?
bad. I was
Because
like,
I'm done.
yes. I loved this season. I thought this was a lot of times the sophomore slump, as they call it,
Hmm.
gets a lot of shows. This one didn't. To me, this one just like it's like, you know what, we went crazy, but let's turn up the volume a little bit.
Yeah, I remember really liking this season. It definitely is different than season 1.
Hmm.
More, you definitely had to suspend disbelief a lot more, but it was very engaging. Excuse
Okay, now you have to just you don't watch Riverdale for its what's the word?
me,
Yeah,
believability.
that word works. But yeah. I will say though, this season started off with well, it ended season one ended with Fred Andrews getting shot.
Hmm.
And I thought that was rough the first time, but watching it this time, after Luke Perry has passed away, R.I.P., it was harder to watch.
All those scenes when they came back of him missing like the graduation,
Uh,
I was like, oh my god, this is way too close to home. Like,
I probably had a few tears. I'm not gonna lie. I know a few times during the season I was yelling at the screen like, Archie, your dad's dying soon. You
be
know,
nice to him.
like so that was the one part of this season that was hard to watch was watching the like the father son bond not
Yeah,
like get distant, knowing that Luke Perry, knowing what we know, because it's not just
yeah.
Fred Andrews that died; it's Luke Perry who died, and we love Luke Perry.
It almost it was eerie because it almost felt like foreshadowing,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't because it was real life. Obviously, he passed away,
Well,
but it was just I don't know. It was just hard, eerie. There was a lot of emotions watching it, knowing that he passed away not too long after. But yeah. So Jughead is basically a full-on serpent this season.
Man, could you imagine trying to handle your studies and being the leader of a gang and handle a relationship? I can barely make it through high school.
So I think at the end of season 1, they divided the town or something. Like he had to go to Southside High. Is
I
that
thought
what
that,
happened?
yeah, but didn't that happen during this season?
I think it happened at the end of season 1.
Oh, I'm telling you, I've binge watched a lot of Riverdale here lately, so some of the stuff blends in.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
but he does go to Southside at one point, Southside
yeah.
High.
hmm You know what? You might be right. It might have been in the beginning of the season.
I will say though, I love the way they brought in the Southside students. That Fangs, Tony, Sweet Pea, and like it wasn't like some shows where they bring in these characters and they're there for a few episodes and they kind of just disappear. You
hmm
know,
Yeah.
I like that they stuck around. It wasn't just like oh, we're just here for the plot.
hmm
As soon as we get past that, you're gone.
So one interesting plot point was FP had been arrested for the murder of Jason, but
Mm-hmm.
then I think they found out that Clifford did it, but he was still in prison for, I guess, like being
He helped
involved
get
in
rid.
it.
Yeah, he helped get rid of the body.
Yes. So Jughead enlists the help of Penny Peabody. Is that her name? The snake
Yes.
charmer.
Mm-hmm. Ooh,
I didn't like
never.
her.
I was gonna say I didn't like her either. I did. This show did make me wonder: do I have a bad boy complex? Because I was like, FP, you looking kind of good.
I know.
Like, oh, I can't think of if the scene's in 2 or 3, but there's a scene where the three Riverdale, the Riverdale dads, they're like walking, and I'm like,
Who was the third dad?
there was Fred, Kevin's dad, and then FP, and I was just like,
I
Keller,
don't think it was season 2. I don't remember that. Kevin is cruising in the woods, much to Betty's chagrin.
I, I don't know how he'd be brave enough to do. I mean, I would no.
I
Him
chuckled
him
because
doing that.
she had a line where she's like, "Why can't you just go and grind your like other guys?" And he's like,
And I'm sitting there thinking, because he's a child, Betty. I mean, he shouldn't be cruising anyway, but shouldn't be on Grinder either.
I think this season is the first time we've heard of Midge, but we haven't actually met her until this season. Moose's girlfriend.
Oh yes, I like Moose.
I like Moose.
I was really rooting for him and Kevin.
I was too after Joaquin left because I liked Joaquin.
You won't. I don't know how to keep my mouth shut. I gotta remember, I'm on season 5 and you're on 2.
Well, okay, so I listened to our other Riverdale podcast, and I mentioned what happens to Joaquin, and you were like, "He doesn't die," and I was like, "No," because I realized that you didn't know, and I was just like, "Yeah, no, you're right."
And
and I was like, "Oh, he doesn't know."
And I forgot all about that too.
Yeah.
And I was in for quite the shock.
We'll talk about that when we talk about season 3.
And now we're talking about, a lot of stuff happened in the season. We had the Black Hood chick, who I can't. Oh, that name just drives me crazy. Who isn't actually?
So let's break this down. So the Black Hood is the one that shot Fred at the end of season 1.
Yes.
And then in the beginning of season 2 in Greendale, is that the name of the town across the river?
Yes, that's where Sabrina lives.
Yes, he attacks Mrs. What's her name?
Miss Grundy.
Grundy, or the fake Miss Grundy.
Who at first we think
she's another student.
Yes, like in season one, we think, oh, okay, it was just a one-time thing, her and Archie. But no, she's a serial predator.
Hmm. And the Black Hood murders her with the what is it called? The bow that Archie got her for her
Yeah,
instrument.
yeah.
Which I didn't realize. I was like, why is there blood if he's strangling her? Because they showed blood drip down on her leg, and I was like, that's weird. Okay, but now it makes sense. um, so basically, the Black Hood is leaving notes and making phone calls specifically to Betty,
Hmm.
telling her how much alike they are and how if she looks in the mirror, like she'll see that, and like how he's trying to rid the town of sinners.
I still get a little confused though because I don't feel like that Black Hood that shot Fred is supposed to be Betty's dad.
I didn't think so either. And then
It,
he specifically said that he did it because he was a um, he cheated,
yeah,
an
it's just
adulterer.
that's the part where I have issues with that. It's just because I'm sure Archie would have looked in Betty's dad's eyes at some point. They're
Hmm.
neighbors,
Yeah,
you know, or at least, and because those holes in that Black Hood was not small.
yeah,
Like they should have did like some black iPad, whatever you use, just to
yeah.
kind of make it a little more believable. Because I didn't buy that that was supposed to be. But I mean, at the end of season one, I'd be like, okay, that's okay. They're probably thinking, who are we gonna, coming up with the storylines. But when they come back,
Hmm.
unless they just didn't know how they were going.
Maybe. Um, we learned that Alice had a child that she gave
Mhm.
up to the Sisters of Quiet Mercy,
Whew.
and
Isn't that an interesting place?
that is a very interesting place.
And you learn
Uh,
more about it in season three, and you're just like, yeah.
isn't that where they sent Polly when they found out she was pregnant?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so question, not to get into season three, but Polly keeps mentioning the farm. Is the farm that cult from season
Mm-hmm.
three, which had
Yes,
Michael Murray? Okay,
yes. With Edgar Evernever.
yeah,
I freaking love the names they come up with. I don't care what anyone says. I mean, I know these writers didn't come up with those names because they're from the comic. They've
uh
just
huh.
changed it up. But still, whoever created those is just so crazy how just create Edgar Evernever. I don't think I could ever say his name without laughing.
Was that your inspiration for Abernathy?
No, but I don't know why
You
it was.
sure? um, the end of season one, Cheryl burnt down. Um, I forgot the name of the first house.
Thornhill, Thornhill.
So what's the second house's name?
Maybe they live in Thornhill, and I'm thinking of the wrong one.
They
I'm
both
not.
have names, but I don't remember which
Yeah.
is which. Um, and it starts out with her kind of being in control of her mother because her mother was burnt in the fire, and she lies and said that Mumsy ran into the fire to rescue me.
And everyone's like, okay, know your mother, Cheryl.
Meanwhile, she's cutting off her oxygen in the hospital bed, and she's like, "You're gonna do what I say, bitch."
I love Cheryl. I love a spicy redhead.
um, we also introduced to another gang while Jughead is at Southside High, the Ghoulies.
The ghoulies. They sure are ghouly.
And they are running a drug called Jingle Jangle through town. I love the name Jingle Jangle.
I do too. I mean, it's awful that they make like that makes the drug sound kind of cool. Like, hey, we got some jingle jangle.
It looked like they were basically eating pixie sticks.
I know. Like, I'm just like, huh.
But I love the name. I've been for years. I'll just throw it in. I'm like, you need to stay off that Jingle Jangle.
And then they get Fizzle Rocks, but that's next season.
That's next season.
Which are just pop like.
So the Black Hood kind of blackmails Betty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, her ringtone for him drove me crazy. And they actually, in one episode, swayed away from it, and it was just a regular ring, and then they went back to it. The lollipop song, every time you called her.
No.
What did he make her do? Oh, so he made her print an article exposing that her mother used to be a part of the Serpents.
Mm-hmm. And that's when Alice does her little.
Gave us the epic scene
where she's walking. I live for a scene like that. There are sometimes when I'm walking down a hall, I'll play a song in my head and I'll have my own little scene like that.
And you walk like that?
I slow walk.
Do you have wind blowing your hair?
I wish. If the wind's blowing outside and I'm walking downstairs, I'll have a moment too. I'm like, I don't have, that kind of hair anymore, but can't help it. I love moments like that. That's the only thing about my audio drama I wish I could do would be to have those moments. You can't just be like slowly walks. It's just not the same.
Well, if it picks up and it becomes an actual television show, you can write that in.
I have many of those. I promise many.
She was on the outs with Hal, and I can't remember why. Was it because of Polly, or was it because of Chick at that point?
I think it was a little bit Polly and Chick. Pretty much her and Hal were at odds this whole time.
Yeah.
Which made it easier for him to be the Black Hood, in a sense.
Yeah, so Betty finds Chick, right? And she tells her mom about him, and then they called it a hostel, didn't they?
Yes.
It looked like a motel. Why were they calling it a hostel?
In Riverdale, that's what a hostel is.
All right.
It's just a fancy hotel.
So they find Charles, aka Chick,
Mm-hmm.
who's basically a webcam sex worker. But he also seems to have Johns come to his room because he was like, "You need to get out of here. I have a customer coming."
So essentially, he does OnlyFans and is what you call it, rent boy? Is that what they,
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what they say, I don't know what they say anymore.
So eventually, like he gets attacked by like his pimp or somebody that is working, all the boys that are working.
Well, I think that was. I think that's all fake. It was a way to get Betty to.
Yeah.
Well,
He was creepy from the beginning, though, because they welcomed him into the home, minus Hal. And he's sleeping in Polly's room with Betty's nightlight, and then Betty's asleep, and he's just like in her room staring at her.
I'm sorry, that nightlight is creepy AF.
There's a lot of things in this show that are creepy.
Well, yeah, but there's no way if I was using a nightlight, I'd be able to use that one.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way that little angel thing is just looking at you, I'd be like, don't look at me like that. But he's trouble from the moment
he finds out about the online sex worker thing, and she actually is intrigued by it and kind of goes like Dark Betty and does it herself.
Mm-hmm. She uses Kevin to kind of. I don't find Chick attractive. Nothing against the actor or anything, but the way they use Kevin like to describe, oh, Betty, your brother's hot. I'm like, he's creepy.
I would have been into him at a different time in my life. There was a time where he was the type.
The I can fix some type.
Basically, yeah. Sunken in cheeks. Looks like you have a drug problem.
I feel it. I feel you. Okay.
Sometimes I'll see somebody like that, and I'm just kind of like, Like old habits die hard. Like it's still in me, but like I'm like I know it's a bad decision now.
It's like, ooh, no, can't fix them. Keep going. We haven't discussed the fact that Veronica's dad is pretty much still an Archie from Fred, like
Yes.
doing
Okay.
all
So along with the gang activity, there's also a lot of mob activity going on this season. It is
For
very
Riverdale.
organized crime, like mafioso. Like
Mhm.
I hate Hiram. I have always hated him.
I'm not a fan. I gotta say I'm not a fan. I mean, because I'm like, dude, you're picking on kids.
Even Hermione, like Hermione, Hermione.
Hermione, yeah. This season, I did
Hermione.
not like her or Hiram. Mm-mm.
Although she did have some pretty epic lines.
Oh no, she has some
In
good
the
one.
beginning, when Veronica asks if she was the one that had Fred shot at the church when they're praying, and she
Mm-hmm.
says, "I should slap your face for saying that, but I'm not a violent person." I was like, "Ooh."
Flash forward to her shooting and murdering a guy, but
And then she says something else not too long after that, where she's like, "Oh," she says "princess" in Spanish, and she's like, "She'll never get into daddy's office" or something like that. I'm just like, I like this.
she has some good like season one Hermione to season two Hermione, very different.
Very different.
Very different. It's like you can show Hiram brings out the worst in her.
Hmm. Um, ooh, Veronica had a letter that was basically threatening Hermione's life that Hermione said that she wrote to herself in order to get Veronica
Mhm.
to stand by her father. Stand by her father.
Yeah.
Um, and we come to find out that he did write it.
Yep.
She was just, covering it up. I was like,
I'm.
wow.
I don't get why she covers for him so much.
She's probably afraid of him.
Maybe Veronica's like the only one that will stand up to him. Like, I don't care, Daddy.
I didn't care for the whole wrestling storyline where like Hiram wrestled Archie.
Yeah.
Um,
I did like that though. Archie tried it and he didn't just succeed at it. Like I feel like everything comes really easy to Archie just because he's
uh-huh.
Archie. So to
Mhm.
see him not just be like, all right, I'm a wrestler, no, you ain't. Uh, but he grows.
I like the drag racing episode with the ghoulies and the
Oh,
serpents because um, Tony, I forgot her name. I forgot her name because in my head I had TT because that's what Cheryl calls her. But this was before they get involved, and Cheryl's like, "Move over." She's like, "I was born for this," and she like does the whole like
uh-huh.
grief like scarf wave thing.
Oh, Cheryl.
She's so I don't even know how to describe her. Just the way that her body is shaped, it just reminds me statuesque. That's the word I'm looking for. It reminds me of how the characters in To Wong Fu describe Julie Newmar. Statuesque.
When you say
That
statuette,
is Cheryl.
I'm like, oh, too long, foo. But I'm like, don't bring it up because bring it up so much. It's one of my favorite movies.
So there was like a very special episode that was a little bit wonky, that revolved around going to the movies to see Love, Simon, and ended up being kind of a coming out episode for Cheryl.
Hmm. I wasn't expecting her for them to make her a lesbian. I just wasn't expecting it. I love it because I love her and TT. I think they have such a fun relationship
Hmm.
and almost one of the most stable couples on the show.
Yeah. Prior to that, we thought that maybe TT was going after Jughead,
Hmm.
and we thought that they
I
slept
like
together, but they did not.
I like how they did that. One Tree Hill did something similar with a lot of times when a character meets like someone new, that's going to be their love interest. That's what
Hmm.
they do with Peyton and Chris Keller. Like the first person to meet Chris Keller is Peyton, but then it switches to more
I
about
think
Haley.
that's just an overall TV trope, not necessarily
Yeah,
even a new character. When two characters that don't normally interact have scenes together, you're like, ah, something's gonna happen
yeah.
because this isn't normal.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I love the relationship. Um, I'm probably jumping really far ahead. Definitely am. But I think I texted you. One of my favorite things was when the Black Hood attacked Cheryl and she escaped and she came back at him with her red cloak and her bow and arrow. And she was like, that was just a warning shot. I never miss.
I was like, get him, girl. I was like, okay, now we are going to know who Black Hood is because she shot his ass and he's got a wound and he's gonna have to get fixed somehow.
Yeah. I whenever because they've showed that multiple times, I just feel like she looks like a superhero at that point with her like bow and
I should
arrow.
be on Arrow.
Yeah, right. um but apparently she had a relationship or something with another girl at some point that her mom knew about,
Hmm.
and she ended it. So now with Tony, her mother ends up sending her to the Sisters of Quiet Mercy for conversion therapy.
But she uses like it looked like Cheryl was gonna have an obsession with Josie and was getting
Oh yeah, that
really
was
like
before
it
the
was
coming
getting
out.
really creepy and I was just like, this just seemed out of nowhere.
Oh, so yeah, they did show her obsession with Josie before the Love Simon
Mm.
episode. That's right.
Because it was when they were gonna break Cheryl out, Josie was like, I can't do this, da 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 da.
Yeah. Hmm. I like that Veronica had like a cat suit on to like break her out. Like she had like the tight cat suit on. Because when she was running, I was like, holy boobs. And then I like that when Tony found her in the movie room. Oh wait, also side note, I like that the actor that plays Kevin was in the movie. But do you
Uh,
remember seeing that?
I don't remember that. So that's
Maybe
probably
not
why
that
they did
movie,
it.
but in the first movie, they had him in the black and white, like why being gay is bad. These two men, he was in the movie.
Oh, okay, yeah. Hmm.
Um, but I like when Tony ran in there and found her, that they took the time to make out in front of the whole room instead of running out to get out of the building. Oh, television, you need those epic kissing scenes.
Yeah. It's like the fidgeting with the key, like, oh, it's locked, but we have the key. You know, they're going to try every key until they get to the, this one is the last key. You're like, okay, of course it's going to work.
So I don't remember what was going on, but at some point they went to the White Worm, all of them, and Veronica and Archie were performing, but they were having issues. And Veronica ends up running off stage, and then Betty takes over the song and begins to start a striptease and is basically initiated into the serpents.
How crazy that's how you get like, oh, you need to kind of sing a song and striptease, and then you're in. It's like, oh, Jughead had to go through all these trials.
But they were stupid trials. They weren't like real gang trials. Like he wasn't beaten up, like I have heard is one way of being initiated. He had to like watch Hot Dog, and he had to put his hand. He had to get something out of a cage, not a cage, like a something that had a snake in it, but the snake was defanged.
But he
Like
didn't
they
know that.
weren't real. They weren't real trials.
He didn't know the snake was defanged, though.
Yeah,
I would have been like, huh, nah, I'm not cut out for this. I,
yeah. I just think it's so weird that the parents are just like, "Oh, you're in a gang, okay."
they're
Yeah,
there.
he was in the gang, so he was just like, "You're the leader now, boy." I like when he goes on boy.
I mean, Betty's mom is just watching her striptease. I would be like, girl, you get your ass down. Mm-mm. No, don't make
I liked when they arrived and Betty's mom, Alice, had like her like short skirt on. She had like her leather jacket. She had her hair all big and like and the bartender knew her and she was like she was like glass tequila on the rocks, hold the worm. And he just like knew like what her drink was. And then she was like, Betty, you want something? Shirley Temple?
I can't ever say her name, but I love the actress that plays her.
Oh, Madkin Emick.
Yeah, she's in Gossip Girl as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks.
Dawson's Creek.
Dawson's Creek.
She was on a show called Central Park West, which we will be covering at some point. It's on your drive.
So, but I like the way she played. Like she can play a sympathetic mother, but then she's like turns and is don't mess with her,
So the whole Chick storyline, we find out that Chick is not Chick, and that he died from a drug overdose. And this prompts Alice to run to FP and confess everything to him.
Mm-hmm.
And the Black Hood convinces Betty that if she sacrifices Chick, that he won't hurt somebody else. Was that what it was?
Something like that.
So she ends up sneaking off with Chick, who is tied up at this point because they realize that he wasn't the real Chick, Charles Chick, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she basically sacrifices him. She says, you better run. And she's like, you have the 80% chance, 60, 40.
I know. Like, ooh, girl is like, she is pissed. You better run, Chick. Run.
I love Dark Betty. I can't even I love Betty. Betty doesn't put up with bullshit.
I feel like the actress is that way too. Like when I watch her in certain thing, like live things, where I feel like she's someone who, like don't mess with her.
Mm-hmm.
Because she ain't gonna take it. And I love that. I love me a strong woman.
Now to rewind a little bit to Archie's story. Archie starts a little vigilante group called the Red Circle. And he makes a little warning video for the Black Hood that they're coming for him. And I like how there was like a shirtless Reggie with like the hood on. I was just standing in the background. I see you, Reggie.
Season 1 Reggie, I'm fine with him. But when I first heard he was being recast, I was like, oh man, I hate when we recast actors. But I couldn't see season 1 Reggie playing the same kind of Reggie as this guy does. Nothing against the actor. I just think this one brought a little bit more to it.
Well, first it starts with Archie not going to sleep. He's like sitting at sleeping downstairs at the door with a baseball bat, and then he starts the group.
How does he not have the biggest bags under his eyes? I know he's supposed to be 17, but if you are up that long, I feel like I'd look like I was in a Freddy Krueger movie.
And an extension of the storyline, Hiram is buying up properties all over town. And he's kind of like, what's the word? Grooming Archie to be a part of his organization, the family. I don't know.
The family.
We meet another mobster named Papa Poutine.
John makes that
Poutine.
Yeah. I had never heard of it until I met John. Which I would have heard of it watching Riverdale, but I wouldn't have paid any attention.
Oh, I knew what poutine was, so I always got a chuckle out of Papa Poutine. I think he ordered poutine when they were at Pops.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what they did. So I paused it and rewound and said, John, come here, just so he could see, like, look what they made. Because, that's a French-Canadian dish. So
Oh, is it? Yeah, it
yeah,
is.
it's not an
And
American
they
dish.
film in Canada, don't they? In
Yes, on the
Vancouver.
opposite on Vancouver on the opposite side. So
That's cool.
John lived around the French Canadian side, so that's where he kind of learned. I think first had it and made it and all that stuff.
Hmm.
I tried it. It wasn't my cup of tea.
How long did he live there?
About 2 years, I think.
Oh, all right. Um, what else with the family? So
Oh,
Papa Poutine ends up dead.
because Archie overhears his plan for Hiram,
Mhm.
and Hiram goes to work but pretends like it wasn't him.
Mm. Oh, we also meet Nick Sinclair,
That little
who's a
rat.
friend of Veronica's from New York, and is also part of a mob family.
I'm sorry. When all those girls beat him up, I was like, get him.
Oh, they beat him up during the Rent song "Out Tonight." They
Mhm.
cut it with who was singing it? It was Josie and Veronica singing it, and I was singing along with them because I loved Rent at one point, so I knew all the words. I was singing with them, and then when they were, I think I even text you. I'm singing Rent with Veronica and Josie right now. I'm basically a cat.
See, I know people who don't care. Like they loved Riverdale until it started to get too musical. They're like, that's not how it should be. I'm like, but really though, Archie and even in the comics, they're very musical influence. I mean, Archie's in a band, Joe's in the pussy. So I love the music
I
episode.
like it when they do songs that I know. Otherwise, I don't really need it. I've never heard or seen Carrie the musical,
I haven't either, but there are a
but the
few songs
songs were
from.
fun. I like
I was gonna
them.
say that there are songs in that musical that I was like, "Ooh, I like this."
I actually this time, because I really paid attention to the lyrics, I was like, I might actually download these songs.
If you have Apple Music or Spotify, they're on there.
Yeah,
hmm I listen to them all the time. I have a Riverdale playlist. I'll have to
yeah.
share it.
You send it to me.
I have Shazam, and every time I turn around, I was watching, I was Shazamming a song just so I could see what it was. Because they have great
so,
music.
so mid-season, we thought that the Black Hood storyline ended with a janitor
hmm
who almost buried Archie alive. Well, he almost had Betty bury Archie alive, and
Could
we saw
you?
him get shot.
I don't know what it is, but that like anytime someone's buried alive, I'm just like, oh my god, like having PTSD from Carly Manning being buried alive.
Well, he was like in an old school like wooden like pine
Yeah,
coffin. So every time Betty threw dirt on it, it was coming through the cracks. I was like,
poor Archie.
um, and he ends up getting shot by Sheriff Keller, who, by the way, shirtless in the basement when Veronica found was it Veronica? Yeah, it was Veronica. I was
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
oh.
Like here lately, what I'm realizing, older men are, it's like that little bit of gray hair, and I was like, Mr. Keller. Okay, I see you. We see you.
We find out that Josie's mother is having an affair with him.
hmm Lucky. Not about the affair, but just because she gets Mr. Keller.
Oh, in true soap opera fashion, we find out that Clifford Blossom had a twin.
I love a good twin storyline. I love
Okay,
it.
so that outside dining area that they're in, after the first time we did that, who was with them? Somebody was with them. I don't know if it was Betty, Veronica. One of the girls was like, "Okay, well, Cheryl's gone full on poison ivy." It was so true because it was like a greenhouse.
Well, I think it was supposed to be like her mother's little, where she makes her poisons and things like her tonics and all of that stuff.
Okay,
I think that's what it was supposed to be, but they turned it into like I believe.
I liked that when Cheryl. It was weird because so Cheryl was all like in charge and like threatening her mother. Oh,
hmm
her mother became like a madam. She,
And it seems like that's what she's inspired to be her whole life.
yeah, part of like Hiram buying up the businesses and them like being involved with Hiram somehow. She was like, "You promised me a brothel."
And it's so funny that she wants the sister, like the convent, as her brothel.
Oh, does she?
I thought she did.
I might have missed that, but and and it's interesting because I think in season 3 or 4 we see her have a brothel,
She does, yeah.
and I've only watched season 1 more than once. I guess I forgot that this was going on, and I was like, I remember seeing that and being like, that came out of nowhere. It didn't. It was always there.
Yeah.
um, or she was having an affair with
How?
Hal. Was that season 1 or was that this season?
That was this season.
It was this season because he
Yeah,
got
so
kicked out.
it's so funny. Well, I guess not funny, but the Black Hood's all like, "Ooh, you sinful people." He's literally cheating on his wife and
Mhm.
going to a brothel.
Somebody pointed. I think Betty pointed that out to him.
Oh, okay. So it's
I
been a
think.
little while since I watched this. That's why when you're like, "Ooh, let's go ahead and do," I'm like, "Yes," because I don't want to forget anything else.
Well, that's why I wanted to do it as quickly as possible because you were like blasting through it, and I was like, I better catch up so he can remember things. Otherwise, he's gonna be like, I have to rewatch it again, and then you'll never watch Knots Land.
Yeah.
Okay, so the FBI agent that was making Archie spy for him,
Wasn't an FBI agent.
I have this memory, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I remember an FBI agent being the real chick. Am I wrong?
No. Uh, Next season we meet the real Charles, who's not dead.
And he's like a cop or
He's an
something.
FBI agent, but we also learn that Chick and Charles are a couple.
Mm, I remember that, yes. Because, spoiler alert,
Yeah.
the Black Hood didn't get him. He ran real fast. I don't blame him. I would have ran real fast too.
Oh, well, considering I'm not that active, he would have caught me. I'd be like, why am I exhausting my last breaths? Here you go.
Okay. So, towards the end of the season, when it appeared that Fred got shot again, I was like, does he get shot every season? But this time he had his bulletproof vest on.
I was like, oh.
I was like, can they stop almost killing him? It hurts.
I know. I thought Fangs was going to die during that whole, riot. And I was just like, oh my gosh, no, he's so cute. Don't kill him. Plus, he was gay. I was like, don't kill the gay one. He don't die. But my mom spoiled that part.
I thought I remembered him not dying, and then this time I was like, oh, maybe I was wrong. I was like, he did die, and then they were like, he didn't die, and I was like, oh, okay. I do remember though, Jughead trying to get out of the hole. So once they got rid of the Ghoulies, they ended up having to be the drug traffickers because of Penny Peabody.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember him trying getting out of that, and them attacking Penny, and him cutting her tattoo off.
Whew.
That was pretty gruesome.
I remember going, damn, Jughead, damn. Like, that's
So
cool.
fast forward, she's now involved with the Ghoulies.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid bitch, I hate her. But
yeah, there was no redeeming qualities about her whatsoever. I was so scared when they had Hot Dog. I was like, if they kill that dog,
I know, me too. I'm always so worried about the animals.
I am too, because I'm just like, I can watch tons of horror films or anything, but as soon as a dog comes on the screen or any kind of animal, I'm like, I just watch someone get butchered, but then it's like, oh, puppy dog, no, don't hurt him.
I just remember when Penny said, I want my pound of flesh, and the Ghoulies ganged up on Jughead. When FP went in there and carried him out, I was like, did they really just kill Jughead? Because they showed his face, I was like, he dead. Like, he's dead.
Oh, he did.
But what else? Oh, so the musical. Oh, okay. So I'm watching the musical episode this time, and I thought I remembered somebody dying at the end,
Mm-hmm. Midge.
but it was coming back to me as it was getting closer to the end, and I was like, I'm pretty sure Midge dies. I'm pretty sure. That was pretty gruesome. Her being like
Just hung up
stuck
there?
to
Yeah.
yeah. And Alice had a really good horror movie scream.
Yeah. I don't want to say that, but it was, yeah. I love how she was just like, I'm playing the mother. Or when Kevin's like, we're gonna stay true to the the age and
Yeah.
bring in the mother.
I liked how they broke into song and the songs were kind of relevant to what was going on in the actual episode. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like Josie and Cheryl making up kind of through song. um, what else? I know the ending, but I'm not sure if I'm ready to go there just yet. Can you remember anything else from the season?
No, we covered quite a bit of it. I mean, all the major things that had happened. I mean,
So
what was that?
basically, it culminates in like a riot. Like I feel like the town is just on fire, and it's just everybody's attacking everybody. And
Yeah. Well, they're all like, no one knows who the Black Hood is, and they all think it's.
it
They
almost
think
feels like Halloween Kills. Like it's just like a mob.
they think Fangs killed Midge.
Who? Oh, Fangs. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, which is why he gets shot and during the riot, and the riot's because they're trying to get Fangs is getting released,
Mm-hmm.
and then Midge's mother
Reggie goes to shoot him, but Archie thwarts him.
stops him, but then Midge's
And then
mom.
we find out that it was actually Midge's mom. Yeah. But freaking Hiram, he like basically told Reggie to go do it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we didn't really talk too much about Nick Sinclair. So Nick Sinclair came to town and he basically tried to rape everybody, which led to the girls beating him up. But he comes back and he kidnaps Archie for ransom. And Hiram does not want to pay the ransom because he does not want to come off weak because he's not family. So Veronica gets the money together.
Well, Archie escapes as well on his
Archie
own.
escapes. Oh yeah, he escapes. Oh, not to mention that after the girls beat up Nick Sinclair, Archie goes to visit him, and
Gets that check money.
yeah,
Because he's trying to learn something though, and that was his way in.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was though.
When I think about binge watching these shows, sometimes you forget certain things.
And then there was that episode where they all went to like the safe house in the woods, the cabin,
Mm-hmm.
and that really awkward scene where Veronica and Jughead kiss. Nobody wanted to see that. She's like, it's the only way we get even is if Jughead and I kiss.
And then they're like, "Oh, the only two that haven't kissed is Archie and Jughead." And I like how they kind of flirt with like, "Oh, yeah." But I do like though that the guys don't do the type thing. I hate when the people do that. It's like it's a kiss.
So I don't know how Betty figured it out. She just had like this aha moment where she realized it was her dad.
Well, they learn more about his family and how his mother was like, "You have to do."
Yeah, but she knew before that because she initially met him. She was like, she was supposed to meet him at where she made the speech that inspired him to start this all or whatever. And then she ended up going home, and I was like, he was just shot by a bow and arrow. Like, just just show the wound, and we'll know it's him. Like, Yeah, I really liked how Charlotte was basically like hunting him through the town. She was like going through the woods and found blood on like a tree, and she's like, he's headed north.
She's a woman of many skills.
That was one of those over the top moments where it's just like, what am I watching?
Riverdale, which is the Melrose Place on steroids.
So we find out that the reason why he's doing this is was it his grandfather that was killed? Grandpappy Blossom?
Well, no, they killed his family, or a group of people killed a man
Mm-hmm.
or something,
Mm-hmm.
and he ends up, trying to rid the town of
Sinners.
sinners, and
It was the darkness that his grandfather had, and he has it, and Betty has it.
this darkness,
So he ends up getting arrested eventually. And what does Archie actually get arrested for? He's running for school president, and the last scene
and he
is
gets
him.
arrested. Yeah. What was he arrested? Oh my gosh. Well, I just went blank. I just remember, he got arrested. That was the big like cliffhanger, is Archie's getting arrested for, was it murder? He's getting framed for that murder in the woods.
The one that the
Like
bodyguard
those
to
townies come to uh
rob
rob
them when
him,
they were at the
and then
cabin. Yeah,
and then Archie runs and Hiram frames them for it.
you just hear the gunshot in the background.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, man, that took me a while to get there.
I would have never got there, so thank God for you.
I remember going, he got arrested first, because I remember the trial in the next episode and everything. I was like, it was a major thing, and
I haven't watched it yet, but I remember him being in jail,
mm-hmm.
and I remember Joaquin being there.
Mm-hmm.
Sexy Joaquin.
So how
yes, I think overall that was Riverdale season 2 in a nutshell. Unless you can remember some other stuff.
No, I was just gonna say, how do you compare it to the first season? Like,
I really liked it, but I love season 1.
mm-hmm.
But they just feel so different.
So
it's not fair to compare them, because I just feel like they're both really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, season 1 hit all the right notes. Season 2,
at the same time, so did this, but in a different way.
This one just had a few hiccups when it comes to the whole Black Hood storyline.
Yeah.
When you're trying to figure out who it is, like I felt like they weren't sure who they wanted it to be just yet.
That's true, but as far as like dialogue and content and
I really
shock value, I thought it was very entertaining.
Oh yeah. Oh, I did too. It was one of those. I was like, oh, thank God I'm not watching this live.
Because let's be honest, Melrose Place was full of plot holes, but
oh yeah,
shock value alone, that show was amazing.
I think every show is has a few plot holes. Even the best ones, Lost had a few plot holes, and like they would introduce something and then never talk about it again. Like the big giant foot on the island that only had like 3 toes or something, and you never heard about it again after that.
I never remember that.
It was the end of season 2. So,
but
we follow John Black's backstory. There are plot holes everywhere.
And somehow I can follow that easier than most other things.
Like they have given John Black 4 or 5 lives. I'm like, he's not old enough to have done all that. He's just not. So, but yeah, I would say this season was probably an 8 for me.
I'd agree with that.
Because I give one a 9.
That's fair. I agree with that.
I mean, if Crystal
I can't wait to
Chappelle.
watch season 3 and see how that holds up.
See, I've watched it, and I I don't want to say
I
much.
remember, is that the one with the Gargoyle King?
Mhm. I didn't think I was going to like that little preview. I didn't think I was going to like that storyline as much as I did actually enjoy it.
See, I remember not really loving it, but I remember liking the climax of it. So, and I've said this before multiple times, I think that this show is a lot better binging than waiting week to week
It
and break.
is.
So maybe binging it, I will enjoy it
I
differently.
think it's because they kind of Riverdale will twist and turn so fast you might forget something happened. So if you're watching it live,
Yeah,
you're gonna forget.
yeah.
But when you're
But
binging
if you're
it,
watching one after the other, you're like,
yes,
oh yeah.
it was kind of like with Dynasty. Had I been watching season 4 binging, I wouldn't have forgot about the funeral. But every once in a while, they they wouldn't show the funeral, and then they'd come back and show. I'm like, oh yeah, the someone dies. Yeah.
But all right,
Oh
well,
yeah.
that's all
So
I have to say about it.
good season.
So, all right, well, we're going to be coming back to you next week with a Buffy Christmas episode, Amends from season 3. That'll be next Tuesday when I hopefully come back from Arkansas because someone's getting married.
I wonder who that could be. So no episode on Monday,
No episode on Monday because I will be traveling,
just so everyone knows.
hopefully.
Who knows? An actual in the studio live.
But if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and share us with a friend.
Follow, tweet us, everything.
At Queers and Soaps on everything.
We made it easy.
And we will talk to you again next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.